Hello.
Hi, Erica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad.
We were talking before we got started, and I was spying on you on one of your lives.
Yes, yes.
Did you see me as the little creeper? She's like, oh, I'm going to talk to her later.
So on IG Live, I'm so focused on like my thing that I don't even I know other people like acknowledge and say hi and interact. I'm like, my brain can only focus on one thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, I need to do it. I need to do it. It's one of those things when you find something, you're like, well, I'm not comfortable. I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
that's the sign. Go do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
before I get too far in talking to you, let me introduce you to everyone. Today on the show, we have April Waddell. She is a nurse, but she's no longer working as a nurse currently, but we're going to get through her entire journey. And right now, she has her company is called Nurse Money Date, where she talks to nurses about investing and saving and all things money. And also, you write a column for the Nursing Beat. And
Yes.
that's
Financial vitals.
Yeah, that is so I love a little column. I love a column with a theme. And so
Yeah.
we're going to get into that too. So hi, April. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Okay. So I always start out asking everyone, where are you from? Where are you located now?
Yes, so I originally am from the Philippines. I was born in a tiny town in the Philippines, and spent a majority of my life. Grew up in Chicago, and currently I live in Sydney, Australia.
I saw that on Instagram. I didn't know if you just went to visit or what had
Yeah.
happened, but no, you live there.
Yes. So, my husband has always had a dream ever since he was a little boy to live and work here. And so he got a job opportunity, and it was perfectly in sync with me leaving nursing and starting my business, which I can
Yeah.
run from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So the stars really aligned, and we've been here for about a year now.
Wow, a whole year. Oh gosh, I thought you had just left. That tells you where I am in the world. Gosh. Well, that's exciting. So we'll back up. And I know you're not working as a nurse now, but you started there. We all start out going to nursing school. So how did you even get interested in nursing back in the day?
Yeah, I think I'm going to assume, but I feel like everybody in the nursing world has heard this joke of like, there's so many Filipino nurses, right? And so, have you heard that?
No, but I look forward to lumpia whenever it comes into the break room. Let me tell you, find me a nurse
Love
who
it.
doesn't look forward to that, and I'll show you a liar. That's what I
Yeah,
know.
I love that. That's so funny. But a lot of my family members are nurses. My mom, my older sister. So that's definitely how I got introduced to the nursing field.
Okay. And so did you go you're from the Philippines. When did you come to the States?
Yeah, I went to the States when I was 5 years old. So
Okay.
I honestly have never felt more American than when I went to the Philippines because I majority of my life was in America. So I went straight into nursing out of high school, and got my BSN and started working as a pediatric ICU nurse, which
Oh,
was the field that I always knew I wanted to get into.
okay. How did you know that you wanted to work with kids? Is there anything that sparked your imagination?
I had a little brother,
Okay.
and so I always joked around that he was my baby, not my mom's. And I always just loved babysitting. That was my side hustle in high school and in college. Um, Kids are just so fun and so honest, and I just love working with kids.
Yeah.
Um, and luckily got an internship while I was in nursing school at my dream peds hospital. And so that really paved the path for me to be able to start off in that field.
Okay. I did one, I think I did, it was a rotation.
Mhm.
Nope.
It's either you love it or you hate it, right?
These kids with these scalp IVs,
Oh, yeah.
what are you supposed to do with that? I'm like, I'm injecting into their head. I don't feel comfortable. Of course, I was raised when I went out, I graduated from nursing school and I worked at a massive hospital. It was
Mhm,
MedStar Washington Hospital Center in DC. Well, it was on a campus with the VA,
mhm,
Washington Hospital Center, and the Children's Hospital.
mhm,
So
mhm.
any kid we got, we didn't see. We sent them straight to
Oh,
Children's.
wow.
So I am an adult nurse. That's where I feel
Yeah.
comfortable. That's what I love, and I love kids. I just inflicting pain on them. It's not my cup of tea, but someone needs to do it.
Yeah, they're so resilient though. They're so, so resilient and they can bounce back. I mean, especially in my experience in the ICU, like kids can bounce back in those moments where you see those amazing recoveries. Just what carried me through all those negative experiences, right? Where you do
Yeah.
have to experience those hardships.
Yeah. So when did you graduate nursing school?
Ooh, December 2016.
2016. Okay. And so you were just, hang on, I think there you are. Okay, we're back. And so when did you decide to retire and why? How did you come to this?
Yeah, so I graduated nursing school, like many nurses, with student loan debt.
Yeah.
And so that really started my passion for personal finance.
Yeah.
And I feel like when people start getting into money, they're like, oh, this is cool, this is fun, this is interesting. Or it's like, oh my goodness, get this away from me,
Right.
right? I definitely was in that first camp of like, this is interesting. And I actually have the income from nursing to put towards my debt, right?
Yeah.
And so I was able to pay off my debt through smart spending. I lived at home, which really helped for the first year. And after I was in a really good path for my debt, I was like, okay, what's next? And then I really started getting into investing. I met my partner who was also just as much into investing as I was.
Yeah.
And together, we were saving and investing upwards of anywhere between 50 to 70% of our income.
Wow.
And so we were doing it quite aggressively.
Yeah.
And that pretty much has set us up on a path to coast to retirement, which means we don't have to really contribute a single dollar towards retirement anymore because we've front loaded all of our investments.
Wow.
And so that really was the spark for us to say, okay, we have this stability. Like, what else do we really want to do in our life? Right.
Yeah.
And for me, going through COVID, it's a really, 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 really hard, stressful experience. Prior to COVID, I was already experiencing burnout.
Yeah.
So when COVID happened, it was sort of just my moment to say, I can't do this. I don't want to do this long term.
Yeah.
And so I started exploring other things I enjoyed, things that I was doing in my free time,
Right.
things I was already helping my family and friends. And that's how Nurse Money Date was born, was from the pandemic and the work that my husband and I did together to set us up to be able to do it.
Yeah. So were you working in the pediatric ICU before and during COVID?
So I started off, yes, in the beginning, and I switched probably. So that was end of 2020 to like PACU
Okay.
piece.
Okay.
Because I was like, well, maybe it's just my unit. Like maybe if I
Right.
go somewhere where I can do day shift, where I can do 410s, like maybe that's it, right?
Yeah.
So I gave that a try, and it still wasn't it for me.
It didn't do it. It didn't make it go away.
It didn't do it.
Well, I will say one of the great things about the nursing degree is that you have some time if you want it. I mean, you can fill that extra time with extra shifts if you want to, or you can pursue your other interests, and for you that was investing and money and thinking for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you made the exit from
Mhm.
nursing. We talked about this a little before, but when was that?
So it was right around the time we decided to move to Australia. So that was
Okay.
the beginning of, oh my goodness, 2022.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a maybe fortuitous. You're like, okay, this is just the
Yes.
way it's supposed to happen.
Yes, exactly. Because when I first started Nurse Money Date, I was like, well, like I'll work part time and I'll work on Nurse Money Date. But with my husband getting his dream job offer, it was sort of like, well, I'm going to have to quit eventually to move halfway around
Right.
the world. So yeah, that really worked out for both of us.
Okay. So you're a little burned out or maybe a lot burned out
Yeah.
from nursing. You're
Yeah.
going to move and you already have this passion. You're like, okay, this is my time to pursue this passion.
Yeah.
So Is that when you went full board? Did you already have your website? You already had the ideas?
Yeah. So, prior to quitting, like fall of 2021 was when I was taking those baby steps. So it was at that point, understanding what social media is and how to work on social media and starting a website. And I had enrolled in a course for Instagram growth. So
Okay.
I had that stuff prior to leaving bedside.
Okay. And we were talking before we started the podcast. I've been to your website. It's beautiful. It's
Thank
so
you.
well done. I absolutely love it. So
Thank you.
tell us, what are you offering? What are you doing? What is Nurse Money Date?
Yeah. So I help nurses save money, make more money, and invest their money. So I do that in a variety of ways. I first want to talk about all the free things because I know, especially for me as a nurse, I was like, I'm going to pay somebody to learn from them to make more money. Like as somebody new to finance, I was like, that seems so backwards. And so that's why I love doing IG lives for
Mm,
free and having my blog, and I send out a regular newsletter to my community, and I post a lot of free content on my Instagram. If nurses are ready to take that next step, I do a variety of coaching either through one-on-one group coaching, and then I have options for nurses to go through programs on their own. My most popular one is a self-paced program where nurses learn how to invest without a financial advisor and do those things on their own.
okay. So I was going to say, investing, you can do investing in lots of ways: stock market,
Yeah,
mutual funds, index funds, real estate. Do you
yeah.
focus on any one of those particular ways, or all of the above?
So all of the above, actually. So, my biggest focus in my own life, even though I'm not practicing as a nurse, time is the most valuable currency I have. And it's the same thing for many nurses, right?
Yeah.
Because you can always make more money, but you're never going to get your time back. And so I'm really focused on myself investing in a way where I'm not sucked into Excel sheets, sucked into analyzing what's going on in the stock market, right?
Mhm.
And so, especially for nurses who are working 312 stressed out, that's also how I teach them how to invest. So it's in the stock market, investing passively with index funds and ETFs. And you can do those things, inside your Roth IRA, inside your 401k. And what a lot of nurses don't know as well is you can invest passively in the stock market with real estate,
Mhm.
right? And so that's something that I do as well, and something I teach other nurses as well, because oftentimes we are sold this messaging that the only way to own real estate is to buy a home or be those HGTV people who like flip and do all that stuff.
Yeah. So are you talking about REITs?
Yes.
Okay. What is a REIT? Tell everyone what a REIT is.
Yes, a REIT is a real estate investment trust.
Okay.
So there are tons of different types of REITs out there, but it's pretty much something that you buy. And you can purchase this through Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab. But there are REITs specific to industry. So, for example, something that I talk a lot about is healthcare REITs. So you
Hmm.
can buy a REIT that owns property for hospitals, clinics, all those kinds of things. So all you do is buy this thing, buy this REIT. That money goes towards this company, this real estate company that manages all the stuff, right?
Mhm.
Maintains the property, collects rent, and then in turn, you get paid as the investor from those payments, those payments every single month.
I was going to say, do REITs pay out monthly? And how do they pay out?
Yeah, so again, there's a wide variety of them. There is one that does pay you monthly, but typically a majority of them will pay you every quarter.
Oh, quarterly. Okay, like
Yeah.
dividends. Well, I guess that depends
Yes.
on the company as well. Um, I used to be a financial advisor for Merrill Lynch. That's how I know these
Amazing.
things. I'm the jack of all trades, master of none. If you're looking for an expert, don't come to me. But if you want to know a little bit about lots of things,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
So what
I did, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to say, what was your experience like as a financial advisor?
I will tell you, I never invested in REITs.
Yeah.
I will say I love what you're doing in educating people about investing in general, because a lot of quote unquote stockbrokers or financial advisors, many of them are really great. Some of them are not so great. And you need to know at least what you're talking about. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you need to know the basics of what you're talking about. And I can tell you, as a financial advisor, yes, it was your job to safeguard people's money, make them money, that sort of thing. A lot of my job was just to bring more money in. And if you weren't, it didn't matter if you were the best trader on the floor, at least at my level. Now, maybe in, private equity at the big firms in New York, but just a financial advisor in your community, you didn't really, as long they didn't, of course, they didn't want you to be unsafe and they were monitoring everything that you did. Yes, of course. But they really wanted you to just bring in more money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you weren't good at convincing people, I was young. I was in my 20s. What 60-year-old retiree is going to give me his $1 million portfolio? Probably not many. So that was my struggle within the financial industry. Now, that has nothing to do with investing, but just in general. I'm sure you probably knew that. That's the way the industry works. But that's why I'm a proponent of people learning. Learn for yourself. Learn what is going on. You absolutely have the knowledge to learn and do this for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not really about, yes, of course, it's great if you can make more money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's really about just giving yourself the power to make decisions for yourself. And we live in a world where money buys you power and options. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. People say, I sometimes I question myself, am I obsessed with money? No, I'm obsessed with options and freedom. So
Yeah.
that's why what you're saying resonated so well with me, because I'm like, it gives people options.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this podcast? Does the world need another podcast? Probably not. But I'm offering nurses options.
Yes.
And then you can make a decision on what's best for you. And you don't feel trapped. You have more freedom. You feel more independent, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So part of your education, do you touch on getting out of debt? Because I know that was a big thing for you. That's what opened up your eyes.
Yes, definitely. Especially with student loans kicking back up. I
Right.
definitely teach and coach nurses about that. And the bigger part that I really talk about is mindset, right? Of course, like we talk about the strategies and Roth IRAs versus 401ks, like we get into avalanche versus snowball, like we get into all the strategy, but what's going to support that and maintain that for the duration of your life? Because I'm not about teaching nurses how to invest now or just to get out of debt now. It's about longevity, right? And sustaining that. And what sustains that truly is your mindset, your attitudes, your beliefs about money. So when I do coach and mentor nurses related to debt, that's a really big part of the conversation.
I like that a lot. Because I made an effort a couple of years ago to get out of debt, except for my house. And it's the most freeing feeling in the world. So I'm
Yes.
glad that
Yeah.
you touch on that.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So where can people, well, I can save this tell me now, where can people find you? On Instagram, on the website, on all of that stuff?
Yes, everything across all social medias, Nurse Money Date, between LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. But I am most active on Instagram.
Yeah, me too. You got to pick one, right? And
Yeah.
that's where
There's only so much time in a day.
I know. And you have free webinars, lives, resources, or if they choose to do self-paced, you have that. And if they choose to do coaching, you have that too.
Yes, exactly. And I encourage anybody who's interested to start out with the free stuff, right? Because there's a ton of people out there teaching money and finance. But what is going to separate your success is if the person you're learning from resonates and speaks with you, because you're going to be excited to learn from that person. And if it's not me, that's totally fine,
Yeah.
right? So I encourage you to read my blog, go through the free things that I offer. If you're interested, just send me a DM and then we can take it from there.
Okay, nice. Now, the other thing I want to touch on, like
Yeah.
I said earlier on, is I love a good column. I love a good theme. So you're writing for the nursing beat.
Yes, yes. So my column is called Financial Vitals. And my goal with the column is to touch on a wide array of financial topics, but include real life nurses. Now, I don't include like my actual previous clients' names, of course, but the topics are inspired by nurses that I have worked with and helped. So, for example, I talked about a health savings account, right, in my most recent column, but I talked about it in context of a specific nurse because that makes learning fun and different, right? And as nurses, we all are nosy, right? Like, what's Nurse Gloria up to? How did she get this triple tax savings, right? Versus like you get all these tax benefits. So my goal with the column and everything at Nurse Money Day is to really just make finance more approachable, less intimidating, and fun to learn about. So I hope when people are reading it, they can hear it like they're talking to a friend in the break room, gossiping a little bit about some financial strategies to improve their financial health.
Absolutely. That's what I encourage people to do all the time is just talk to people. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you listen to everything that they say, but you're going to come away with a little nugget. So,
Yeah.
and it's just life is about, meeting people and collecting nuggets.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so your column, it's like a little financial nugget.
Yeah. And it's nice and bite sized.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I don't know, maybe we'll do a live or something. We'll do
Yeah,
a
let's
live.
do it. Let's do a live. Let's do a live together to kick off this like desire that you've had to do one, and then it'll just go from there.
Maybe we'll do it, the week that we publish your episode.
I love it. It's done. Done. It's on my
Okay.
calendar.
So remind everyone where to find you on IG and your website.
Yes. So on Instagram, I'm at Nurse Money Date. If you have any questions about anything that I post, I really truly mean it. If you have any questions, if there's a word that's confusing, if there's a concept where you're like, what the heck does that mean? Send me a DM and I will help you understand that.
April, thank you for coming on, and we'll be in touch, and I'll have all of your info in the show notes. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Erica, and I'm looking forward to our IG Live very soon.
I'm accountable now.
Yes.